Hey there, welcome back to Plow and Pantry. I'm Alicia if you're new here, and today we are doing the week 5 update of the 2025 Pantry Challenge. If you are not familiar with this one, this is part of the Three Rivers Challenge, which is a collaboration with Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead. She does this every year. This is my second year participating in her collaboration, and it is a January and February Pantry Challenge, so that is more extensive than what I had done before this challenge. I was, just to recap, because in this challenge everyone makes their own rules, I was allowing myself $25 a week in January, and now that we've switched to February, this is the first week that I was allowed $50, and I'm going to do $50 a week for the rest of the month. And it was great timing because I needed more than $25. I did mention in my first video from this year's challenge list, which I can link the whole playlist for the challenges below, I mentioned that I'm doing some other things right now. There's some other stuff where I have to bring food. There is working on another cookbook, and so I need some extra supplies for that. So my intention was to keep the same budget I did last year, but in January I accidentally cut it in half. So I'm actually using less than last year, even though I'm doing more with my money. So we left off, let's see, we finished up, looking back at my notes here, January 28th was the last time we were here together. So starting week 5 was January 29th, which was a Wednesday. For that day, we had leftover oatmeal cookie dough break for breakfast. That is a pretty standard breakfast around here for a school morning. And I mentioned in my last video that it's kind of nice. I'm realizing that I can make breakfast once every other day on a school morning, because now that I only have 2 kids at home, neither of whom eat as much as my son did, it is like less gets eaten. So if I make a batch of muffins, it lasts for 2 days instead of 1. If I make an oatmeal cookie dough bake, which is a casserole dish, it lasts for 2 days, and a little bit to the chickens even. So left off the last week, had made that for breakfast, and so the next day, the first day of this week, that's what we had for breakfast. Lunch, I had a salad. Kids had various like school lunch, normal things. We have a date, that was Wednesday. So Wednesdays are date nights for us. The girls eat at youth group. They have dinner there. It's usually pizza, but sometimes something else. And my husband and I go out and have a date. He actually had to run errands in Knoxville that day, and so he brought home some McAllister's for us to have for dinner, which is a deli here that we love, but we don't have one near us. So we actually stayed home. We didn't go out, and we had McAllister's, and that's what we did for that night. So Wednesdays usually are not a big, for dinner definitely not, but they're not a big pantry staple meal type day. So Thursday and Friday threw a wrench in my plans, because Wednesday night we got a phone call saying school was going to be canceled Thursday and Friday. And I was like, what? There was no weather, it wasn't snow days. It was just because widespread illness, which here, to me, that pretty much means they didn't have enough subs to cover all the teachers that were out. So they canceled school Thursday and Friday. They go through and clean everything and give everybody more time to rest and get better. That morning, we didn't really do breakfast because I had tried to make something, but both my kids, because the weather was fine and my kids weren't sick and neither were their friends, they slept late and then went out with friends and did their own thing most of the day. For dinner that night, we had sheet pan chicken with broccoli and potatoes and red onions. I had chicken in the freezer. I still have chicken in the freezer. I used broccoli that I had in the last grocery haul. I think we still have some in the fridge I need to use up. Some broccoli and potatoes. We still have some potatoes from the garden. We're almost out, but we still had some, and some red onions. And I just made a sheet pan thing with that. And I also made peanut butter chocolate chip cookies that day to send off to my son in a box of stuff for him. And that was Thursday, January, I mailed it January 31st, and that box is still not to him in Colorado. I did that, priority mail thing that's supposed to be flat rate 2-day box. It's been more than a week now, and it doesn't even say where it is. It just says en route to next whatever. So the cookies won't be very good by the time they get to him. Good thing that was the only thing. I put one home-baked thing in there, and then the rest are snacks. They're not really allowed to have much in their rooms. He's at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, and so I pretty much send him like study snacks and food, and I get him like beef jerky and things that he likes that will last him a little bit longer, and I usually put one home-baked good in there, and this is why I don't send an entire box of just home-baked goodies, because who knows when it will actually get to him. So Friday, of course, it was no school again, but I made a waffle bar for breakfast. I had frozen waffles. From the last time I made them, I froze half of them, put them in the deep freezer. I pulled those out and thawed them and toasted them. We had a waffle bar for breakfast. For lunch, everybody was on their own, and mostly people ate leftovers. Dinner that night, I made 4-bean chicken chili. This is a pantry staple meal. I think I have done this in a video that I can link for you, and if not, I definitely have a printable recipe which I can put in the description box, link to my blog. But it uses all like dry goods from the pantry. I use home canned chicken with it, but it has canned beans and like all the dried herbs and stuff like that. It doesn't need anything fresh. It's really fast. You just have to dump it together and get it heated up enough. And so it's a pantry staple. I served it with cheese because we have cheese, the last of our green onions. Normally this time of year, I am using our freeze-dried green onions, which we just use straight out of the jar. I don't reconstitute them. They kind of taste the same. But I had bought a pack a few weeks ago. I had a couple stragglers left, and so I used them up before they went bad. We also serve them with Fritos. That is a Southern thing, and sour cream. Trader Joe's version of Fritos. They're cleaner ingredients, and I think they're less expensive too. I did actually, in addition to my canned chicken, use up some raw chicken. I had, from the sheet pan chicken the night before, I had a little bit left of chopped chicken that I couldn't fit on the pan, and so I put it in the fridge, and I just tossed that in there first and sauteed it up until it was cooked through, and then I dumped the other ingredients in just to use it up. It wasn't really enough to make a whole meal out of, so I just added it to that. So Saturday, February 1st, I made egg sandwiches with cheese and bacon for breakfast. We have bread on hand, and the chickens are slowly laying again. I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like, and I might just be remembering wrong, but I feel like by this time, my chickens are usually almost back to normal, and they're not right now. They're slowly starting. My one chicken who was laying pretty consistently over the winter has not laid an egg in like 3 weeks. And then 1 or 2 of my others have started, but I'm still only getting 1 or 2 a week. And that I do have older chickens, but they're not all older. And so my youngest ones are 2 years old. I didn't get chicks this past spring. So my youngest are 2 years old, and of those I have three of those, and so they should still be laying like twice a week. And I'm just starting to worry that they're not gonna lay. I'm not gonna increase my egg supply because I am planning on getting chicks again this spring, but I'm only gonna get 4, and those aren't gonna be laying until the fall. So if I'm out of eggs all summer, oh, what a time, right? Not a great time to be out of eggs. I have been using some freeze-dried eggs in the pantry. I'm almost out of those though, because I've used them every time we've done like scrambled eggs or an egg casserole type thing. I just use the whole ones for if I want hard-boiled eggs, either for hard-boiled eggs or deviled eggs or like egg salad or something like that. So I'm a little bit nervous about my egg situation. I'll give it like another month before I panic, but I'm a little worried. I do have 8 chickens, so I should be, and some of them are old. My Daisy is my oldest. She's from my first batch, like 5 years ago, and she's probably not laying at all, but I should be getting more eggs. Anyway, so we had the egg sandwiches, my point. That's what, I'm just a little nervous. That night for dinner, we had chicken tacos, which I just used canned chicken from the pantry downstairs. We had taco-sized tortillas to use up in the fridge. I used freeze-dried cilantro because we didn't have fresh. I used salsa from basement storage as well. Opened a new jar of that. Home canned salsa. I had lettuce from the previous week, and we used the freeze-dried green onions on that. I use homemade taco seasoning. I have a video where I show how I make my own homemade taco seasoning. I can link it for you, and I think I do a lot of other mixes like onion soup mix and chili powder and stuff in that same video. We had hot sauce. We have a lot of hot sauce on hand and sour cream in the fridge. And last summer I had made a Serrano hot sauce that I put out. It is so good. My husband fell in love with it. We also had Tabasco sauce from the garden this year because I grew Tabascos this past year. Sunday, February 2nd. Sunday is always on your own for breakfast. Most people skip it. This Sunday was no exception to that. We ate lunch out. We always do after church on Sunday with the grandparents, although my dad was gone. He was in Oregon at a funeral. And dinner on Sunday is always a leftover buffet, which is what we have. We had plenty of leftovers, so that's what we ate on Sunday night. Nothing new. Part of the fun of a pantry challenge isn't just using up stuff in the pantry, but there are also just things to be like this used stuff. I mean, there's always like, I want to use this up before it goes bad. I don't want to waste food, but there tends to be like, I like to keep my fridge almost empty. And there tends to be this, use this, try not to. I don't know if it's like a natural thing to like try not to use the storage. Not that I don't want to use the storage. If I'm probably making no sense. I should just cut this part out because it don't make sense. But I do find myself wasting less. I'm always cognizant of food waste, but I find myself during Pantry Challenge wasting less, partly because I keep my fridge more empty, and partly, I don't know, there's just something about Pantry Challenge that makes me like, we have to use this up before we get into anything else, you know? So let's see, what was that? That was Sunday. Monday, I pulled out some muffins from the deep freezer. When I was getting chicken out, I found in the back of the freezer a package of, it was like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag of homemade chocolate yogurt muffins. My kids love those, so I pulled those out, and that's what we had I pulled them out Sunday night. That's what we had for breakfast Monday and Tuesday, again, with the one package lasting for 2 days. So Monday lunch, I was busy on Monday, super busy. And I was restocking a lot of things, and I made some 90-second convenience, like freezer rice pouches. And I made a video of that. I will link it. It should be my last one, but I'll link it for you where I show how I do that. These aren't shelf stable like Uncle Ben's are. They go in my freezer, but they are just like, you just snip them open and microwave them for 90 seconds and they are perfect. And I tried in that video, I had made a new flavor combo with this feast mode seasoning, this mango habanero. It was so good. And so I kept some out and made myself a bowl with it. And I had prepped some sweet potatoes. I'm going to put all that like prep day in the life stuff in another video. But I had roasted sweet potatoes, trying to get my sweet potatoes used up from the garden last summer. And I had leftover chicken taco meat. And I had, put some spinach on there, cucumber I needed to use. It was so good. I've been like eating that bowl, trying not to eat it every day because I don't want to get sick of it, but it was really good. So that night we had bean and cheese burritos for dinner, because what was supposed to happen, see, I planned my menu well according to what is on the schedule, and it doesn't seem to matter how well I plan. There's always minimum one night a week that gets screwed up. So Monday, I planned on bean and cheese burritos because my husband was going to be gone until really, really late, so he wasn't even going to be with us for dinner. My girls both love bean and cheese burritos. My middle daughter and I were supposed to go to a meeting for track and it was starting at like 6:30, so we needed to eat before we went. But my other daughter was going to be coming home around that same time from tennis practice, and so we were going to be passing each other. But bean and cheese burritos can just be like heated whenever, and so I just made them. And that's what we were going to eat. That meeting got canceled at the last minute and moved to Tuesday, which made Tuesday really hard because Tuesdays, all of my Tuesdays are crazy. I don't like Tuesdays anymore. But so we had bean and cheese burritos, which I normally, even though the kids love them, I normally reserve them for a busy, crazy night like that, where we are passing each other in time, but still home at the right time is to eat dinner at home. And so I feel like I wasted that. I didn't, obviously, because I had previously refried beans I had made from the deep freezer, so I pulled those out. We had cheese, we had tortillas I need to use up. I had 2 different sizes of burrito, like big and then bigger. So I used up 2 packages that were partially used of tortillas, so it wasn't like a waste, but at the same time, I was like, I would have saved that for another busy night. But so Monday, bean and cheese burritos, which, by the way, in Southern California, where I lived most of my adulthood, those are pretty normal staple fare. Here in East Tennessee, they're hard to find. People are always like, you just want bean and cheese on your burrito? Like no sauce on top, nothing else. But that's what, we love them. Anyways, Tuesday brings us to the end of week 5. The muffins from the deep freezer from breakfast. Lunch, I had that bowl again because it was good. I made a whole new batch early in the morning of the mango habanero rice to last me this week because it was good. And then dinner last night, I did sub sandwiches because it was, again, the meetings got screwed up. I already had a meeting I had to go to on Tuesday night, and then my daughter's track meeting got moved to Tuesday night right after my other meeting. So, but my daughter couldn't go now because she has a college class on Tuesday nights that my husband is at. So I had one daughter coming home from tennis after I had already left to meeting number 1. daughter, and the other daughter was leaving right after I left to the college thing. So subs, is something that I don't have to cook it all, and I don't have to, everyone makes their own, so I don't even have to spend any time doing it. I just have to get this, I just get the stuff out, and whoever's last to eat puts the stuff away, right? Or at least the cold stuff. So I can you'll see in my grocery haul, I got sub rolls so that we could just do a sub bar, and we like to do it like fancy with the salt and pepper, oil and vinegar and pepperoncinis and stuff like that. So they're good subs, but still subs are easy. And it was another one of those, we could all be home at a time at dinner that we could eat, but not together. And I had no time on Tuesday to cook anything. Normally, if we're busy at night, I can still prep something during the day, and I was gone early, and I was busy all day, and there was no, in fact, I was kind of late to my meeting because it was just hard to get out the door, and it was another Wednesday. So that was Tuesday, sub sandwiches, which doesn't sound like a pantry meal because it's not really pantry stuff except for like pepperoncinis and condiments. Those were in the pantry. But, and we had fruit and open bags of chips with it too. But it was stuff we had on hand except for the sub rolls, which again, I could make because it's a pantry challenge. I had the stuff to make it on hand, but I was not home at any time in the day to make them. So it didn't happen. So here is where we are at with the groceries. All right. So I remember that I went up from $25 to $50 this week, which is perfect timing because I needed the stuff I needed to get work on that cookbook. It's a summer produce eating in season cookbook, and I did a lot of it during last summer when I was pulling stuff out of the garden, but I didn't have time to get to all of it. So I'm having to come buy some of the summer produce to get it done in time for this summer. So you guys will have it when you're pulling your own summer produce out of the garden. But so this is what I forgot. I took a picture of the groceries, but I only remembered to do that after I had put about half of them away. But I kept the receipt. So I actually looked back at the picture and checked off things on the receipt so that I would know what I did not get in the picture for you to tell you what I got. So I went to Aldi and I spent $45.56. And here's what I got. The feta was in the picture. I got Kalamata olives that were not pictured. I did get some cheddar that was pictured. I got some regular black olives that were not pictured. 2 things of deli turkey and 1 thing of ham lunch meat. Those were pictured. The deli rolls for the subs, that was not in the picture. I bought a package of fresh green beans, a package of shredded lettuce, a package of mini cucumbers. I could go cheaper on the cucumbers. Aldi has good price on cucumbers. They have like the bigger one that is like an English style cucumber for like $1. And then the little baggie of mini ones is $1.95. So I could have gone cheaper by getting the $1 one because it's about the same amount of cucumber as little minis, but I've just been really enjoying those little minis. So, and I feel like they stay crisper longer, at least in my house. I don't know. Those were in the picture. What was not in the picture was a 3-pack of peppers, bell peppers, with like a red, yellow, orange. And then also in the picture were red grapes, green onions, and strawberries. So that was $45.56. And then I also had gone to Walmart and got 1 bag of cauli rice to try in something. With tax, that was $2.12. So that brings my total for week 5 to $47.68, which means that I have $2.32 left over this week. So I was under budget. That was good. Just barely, but that was good. And last week, I left off with $3.27 left over. So that now I have a credit of $5.59 going into week 6. So technically I have $55.59 I can spend next week. We'll see what I need though. I'm not trying to just spend it. I just want a little more freedom in getting stuff. So that's where we are week 5. I know it wasn't a super exciting week as far as pantry meals. It was a crazy busy week though. And I feel like we'll have 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, semi-calm before like the spring track and tennis craziness, other stuff that happens in the spring hits. So maybe the next 2 weeks we'll have some more creative ideas for you. This week was really kind of just about surviving. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing with your time, so thanks for stopping by here. If you are doing the pantry challenge, let me know how it's going for you now that we're in the 2nd month. I would love to know if you have come up with anything creative with the stuff in your pantry, or if you're having any frustrations at the moment. Leave that in the comments below because I love to see what's up with you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.